What's up, guys? It is your boy APFC back again. All Arsenal content, but not exclusively so. Now, today's video is going to be a transfer update. I haven't done one since the end of last week. News has been a little bit quiet. However, things are starting to heat up just a little bit. There has been a lot more news that has filtered through over the weekend, and some new news that's happened in the last 24 hours or so. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Now, the first name I'm going to mention today is Shokradan Mustafi. Now, talks seem to be heating up with Galatasaray. His agency apparently is going to hold talks with Galatasaray soon. There's no exact time frame of when this will happen, but what they're saying is soon, which to me seems like it's going to happen at this transfer window. Now, Galatasaray are particularly looking at Mustafi as a replacement for, let me just see what the name is, Christian Luyendama, who unfortunately I have not heard of him. But from what I've looked at him, he's a centre back. He injured his ACL in November, and they're trying to find a replacement since. Mustafi, for them, seems like a good option, probably relatively inexpensive, and is a player that a club like Arsenal wants to get rid of. We want him gone. We've been trying to get rid of him every window since we've signed him, apparently. So it is looking to heat up. As I said, Mustafi has a new agency, and he was very close to leaving last window, but just didn't have the right offer for him, according to himself. So let's see if Galatasaray is going to be the right option for him, and will he move on. Now, we do seem to have a centre-back shortage with Callum Chambers being out for 6 months, but it just doesn't seem like, regardless of that, Mustafi is part of Arteta's plans. So I am rating this transfer as very likely to happen. There's been consistent talk. There was talk about him going to Inter Milan. That seems to have fallen through. It's now all about Galatasaray, and I can see this one getting confirmed within the next 7 to 10 days. I could be wrong. It could go all the way down to the end of the transfer window, but only time will tell. The biggest positive for me is not only is getting rid of a player that's had consistently poor performances since he's joined, but it frees up 90k per week in the wage bill, which is quite astounding to have a player that bang average on 90k a week. It will free him up, and it will significantly free up wages to bring in another centre back, which leads me perfectly on to my next point. Now, this is probably the strangest transfer rumour of the day, is that Arsenal is now apparently lining up a shock move for John Stones. Now, the links have particularly come through because John Stones has not featured many times at City this year. Apparently, he's had around 10 Premier League appearances. Fernandinho, in some respects, has made that centre-back spot his own, which, even though City have had some problems with centre-backs this season, with the amount of depth they have there since Aymeric Laporte got injured, John Stones doesn't seem to be a part of Pep Guardiola's plans anymore. You do remember Pep Guardiola being very patient with John Stones when he signed him, and he was a key figure in their squad when they won their 2 Premier League titles under Pep Guardiola. But perhaps that ship has sailed. Perhaps Guardiola doesn't rate Stones as highly. He has given him multiple chances to perform. What I've seen of John Stones is he can be very good, but he can also have a mistake in him. I will be doing a video about 3 centre-backs Arsenal should sign later today. John Stones is featured in that video, so please go check it out. But apparently, the news has also come through because Arteta and John Stones share the same agency, which further fuels the fire. And apparently we're looking to take him even if it's on loan. Now, I assume we would be just looking to bring in any sort of centre back, regardless if it's a permanent one or it's on loan. John Stones tends to fit the bill because he does have Premier League experience. At the end of the day, he's won more Premier League titles than anyone has at our club, as far as I can think of. I think it wouldn't be a bad player to bring in. Yeah, it does come with some risk, but in my opinion, it comes with less risk than Samuel Umtiti, who A, doesn't seem to have any Premier League experience, and B, has had many injury problems, which Stones has had his injury problems in the past as well, but we will just have to see what happens there in regards to that transfer. I can't see that one happening, but you never know. This could be one of those ones that heats up till the end of the window. John Stones is looking for some game time coming into Euro 2020, which means that although this window is generally a quiet one, because of Euro 2020 coming up and players wanting to get more game time if they're not receiving enough from their club, it does mean there could be a couple of ins and outs around the world of football. Which again leads me on again to my perfectly to my next point, which is another player that's looking for game time, and he hasn't been getting much coming into Euro 2020 is Calhanoglu. I just had to look how to pronounce his name. Now, Calhanoglu is an attacking midfielder from AC Milan. He is Turkish. He's 25 years old, if you haven't heard of him. And he hasn't exactly set the world alight in the Serie A, and apparently we are linked to a move, perhaps even a loan move for him. Now, Calhanoglu can generally play either side of the midfield as a winger. He can also fill in centrally. And from what I've seen online and doing my research, he's not a very popular figure amongst the AC Milan players. He's got 2 goals and one, not players, sorry, the fans. He's got 2 goals and 1 assist this season. If you look on Twitter, Milan fans have sarcastically bigged up Calhanoglu and saying he's the massive loss and the best number 10 in world football to hopefully persuade Arsenal fans to, jump on the bandwagon and want to get him, which I did find quite humorous. That a club like Milan, who are desperate for any sort of quality at the moment, are really looking to, looking to get rid of this guy. Now, he's signed for Milan 2 seasons ago for relatively big money, as far as I remember. I think it was from Bayern Leverkusen. He came with a big reputation. For whatever reason or another, it hasn't worked. Now, this is a player that we shouldn't go for, in the respect that if he's not good enough for AC Milan, who have been languishing around mid-table over the last few years, what makes anyone think he's good enough for Arsenal? This would be a very disappointing move if we did go in for him, even if it was on loan. We don't necessarily have a great track record with loan players in the winter window, with Kallstrom being one that comes to mind, and most recently Denis Suarez. Let's not make another mistake with this. I would be steering clear of Calhanoglu. We should be looking for someone that's playing in a more high-profile league. No disrespect for the Italian league, but if you're not playing for a Juventus or an Inter, generally speaking, with the Premier League level as it is right now, you're probably not going to be good enough for a club as big as Arsenal. So that's been a lot of talk about Calhanoglu. Let's hope these talks tend to die down, because it's not someone I am generally interested in looking to bring in. Now, another rumour that hasn't gone away is continuing to come back is this Thomas Lemar rumour. Apparently we are still in for him, and the newest talk in this rumour is that Atletico are willing to offer Thomas Lemar in exchange to get Alexander Lacazette. Now, Lacazette, interestingly enough, was pretty much destined to go to Atletico Madrid 2 to 3 seasons ago before we signed him. It was a done deal until Atletico got a transfer ban, which meant that we had a clear opportunity to go get Lacazette, which we did so. Now, this is not necessarily something that I can see happening this window, but it is something that I could see happening in the future. Lacazette has not signed a new contract yet for Arsenal. Thomas Lemar has not exactly hit the ground running at Atletico Madrid. We did look to sign Thomas Lemar for 90 to 100 million pounds in the summer, not the summer window. Yeah, it was the summer window, for Alexis Sanchez when when it looked like he was going to Man City. It is something I could see happening. Would I take this deal? I would take Thomas Lemar, but I wouldn't take him in exchange of Alex Lacazette, particularly because there is not a lot of time to sign a replacement for Lacazette. And yes, we do have Aubameyang, but Aubameyang is now out for 3 games. We've got another 2 to 3 games in January. It wouldn't be the right time to sell Lacazette, which means I don't think I can see this one happening. But to be honest, I can also see this deal happening for Thomas Lemar without the exchange, but only time will tell in regards to that. Lemar is a very good player. He's both footed. You know, he can play on the wing. He can play centrally. He's not afraid to receive the ball, take on players, play the quick pass. He'd be a good signing. He hasn't exactly hit the ground running at Atletico, but you know, we will see if this happens. Apparently, Tottenham are interested in him as well, so wouldn't be surprised to see him in the Premier League, whether it's to us or another Premier League club by the end of the window. Now, we will move on to another interesting transfer rumour, which involves a defensive midfielder of Bruno Gumaraes, who is a defensive midfielder, 22 years old, that plays for Athletico Paranaense, which is, I hope I pronounced that one correctly. He plays in the Brazilian league. He is very highly rated. Apparently, we have sent scouts to look at him, and Chelsea have also done so, and they've been very impressed with what they've seen. The reason why these talks have sort of come into light over the last 24 hours or so is that apparently, first of all, they may be looking to let him leave if the club comes in for him, and second of all, Benfica has just come in for a 20 million bid. This was confirmed by the club president. The club president then went on to say that we are likely to bid for him, but only towards the end of the season, which makes me think he may be a priority transfer target for the next window. Now, I have looked up highlights of this guy and I do like what I see. It is the Brazilian league, so it's sort of hard to tell how well he'll adjust to the Premier League. We have seen some success of Brazilian players with Gabriel Martinelli coming in from the third division in Brazil. So, based off what Edu seems to know about the Brazilian market, being Brazilian himself, he may get this one right. It may end up being a bargain if we look to go in for him, but you know, excuse me, if Benfica do come for him this window and they're looking to let him go, that ship will have sailed. So I don't know how desperate we are for defensive midfield. Maybe this is a signing we would have bought in if Xhaka did leave, but now that Xhaka is staying at least till the end of the season, perhaps this has pushed back this priority a little bit. I would like to see, you know, a bit more of him, and I would be interested to bring him in based on what I've seen, but it doesn't seem like this will be something, excuse me, that will happen this transfer window. And that's basically all I have time for today regarding Arsenal transfer update. This is APFC, all Arsenal content, but not exclusively so. Keep your eyes peeled. I will be doing a video later today on 3 centre backs Arsenal should sign. Please keep your eyes peeled for that. And I look forward to hearing from you guys soon. Please subscribe, APFC. Any sort of feedback that you may have, please let me know. I'm always looking to improve, particularly so early into making videos. And yeah, take care, guys, and catch up with you soon.